And Brian, I do apologize because I was wrong. I think at about midnight last night, I just tweeted those three words. I was wrong. I did not see this coming. I always knew he could win. Uh, I'm not surprised, Brian. You and I talked about it. I believe the Democratic Party is utterly out of touch with working class America. But I was surprised, Brian, because I really didn't think America would put an utterly horrible human being back in the White House. I just didn't think they would.
Neither did I, Joe, but help explain this to me. And this is not a conspiracy theory. It's a question. And I think you know what I'm going to ask. Joe Biden got 81 million votes in 2020. We were told 25 million people, new registered voters, and it was this biggest turnout in election history in the presidency. And 66 million people vote for Kamala Harris. And they didn't go to Donald Trump because only 71 million. Trump had 74 million in 2020. So I'm asking people, where did all these votes go?
So I'm gonna plead ignorance, and I'm gonna ask you a question. We're not nearly done with the vote count.
Sure.
What I've read, Brian, is there are still about 15 to 18 million votes that haven't been counted. I still think Kamala Harris will win the popular vote by a little bit, but I don't know how those numbers stack up. If another 15 million or 18 million votes are counted, does that then kind of make sense? I don't know.
I think that's a very valid point. It could. So we should I'm probably talking about this a little bit too soon, and we should probably wait.
No, but you know what, Brian, you raised a really good point. We all need to wait because we're not even close to done with the vote count yet. And everybody else is saying, oh, Trump won X percentage of the Latino vote or the black vote. We won't know these official numbers for another month.
Correct. That's a very good point that you raised, Joe. You know, Donald Trump yesterday even said that in Philadelphia there was cheating going on. And it's very interesting, isn't it? Because in his speech last night, didn't mention anything about anything being rigged. Apparently, if he wins, everything is free and fair and everything went smoothly. Didn't mention it once. So when he wins, everything is fair. But when he loses, it must have been rigged and it must have been cheating, right?
He's a horrible guy. He's an un-American, lawless psychopath. He is what he is. But hey, dear Trump supporters, congratulations, man. You won. I mean that. Congratulations, Trump supporters. But number two, Trump supporters, listen to Brian and I right now. We oppose Trump, but we accept the result. The American people spoke. They chose him. It devastates me. It makes me sad, but we accept the result. So Trump supporters, please follow our example this year, and let's not ever go down that 2020 road again, please.
Very well said. You know, Trump has made a lot of promises, Joe. He's going to end the Ukraine war in a day. He's talked a lot about credit card interest rates capped at 10%. A 33% of budget will be cut. It'll be balanced. 15 million migrants will be deported. Don't you think we all as Americans should hold his feet to the fire with all these promises? I think he's full of crap. I'll be honest with you. But I mean, he's claiming he's going to be doing all these things.
So you and I accept the peaceful transfer of power. We accept the people's choice. And he won. And we're not happy about it. But Brian, once he's sworn in, and I'm exhausted, as I'm sure you're exhausted, once he's sworn in, all of us who believe in democracy, the rule of law, decency, and the truth, man, we got to wage battle again against everything he's going to try to do. Brian, I believe he's un-American. I believe he wants to be an authoritarian. Go ahead and try to deport 15 million people in this country. We need to try to fight him every step of the way for everything we believe in. Do that principled as Americans. But Brian, the other thing I'd say is, again, he's an idiot. He's a stupid person. He's a pathological liar. I don't know what he'll try to do.
I don't know either. And that was going to be my next question for you. If you're just joining us, Joe Walsh with us on the show. So, Joe, I'm trying to think of what his administration is going to sort of look like. And I get scared because I see a lot of crazy people that are going to be around him. At least he had some 5-star generals and he had some competent people around him back in 2016. I'm worried. Can you imagine, Joe, and think for a moment what this administration is going to look like in a few months?
I'll give you two quick thoughts. I saw RFK this morning talking about being in charge of the FDA. RFK and the FDA should never be in the same effing sentence. RFK in charge of vaccines or scary, scary stuff. And at one level, Brian, you're right. The people around Trump could be an absolute clown show because RFK and the rest of them are whack jobs. But Brian, here's what scares me. MAGA is now validated. MAGA is the Republican Party. And I think now you're going to see true believers in the Republican Party increasing. And I worry about all the quote unquote normal Republicans now becoming even more MAGA. So in a weird way, I could see quality people, quality Republicans that you and I a couple months ago would have called quality, wanting to go work with him because now they know a sane Republican Party ain't never coming back. And they want jobs and they want to get involved. So he may have good people who help him, but they will in essence be MAGA.
I think that's a really good point. And isn't that scary what you just said,
Yes.
Joe? Republicans that we respect, right, that we believe have a moral compass could turn MAGA. Oh boy, can you imagine? You mentioned Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being in charge of women's health. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking of the Stephen Millers and the Sebastian Gorkas and the Dinesh D'Souza's and the Charlie Kirks, who you know personally, people like that. Even, I mean, Steve Bannon wasn't joking when he said Laura Loomer could be the communications director. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. I think that's a stretch. But Joe, you never know.
No, Brian. It's not a stretch. Laura Loomer is not a stretch. They told Trump to keep Laura Loomer away during the campaign. I guarantee you Laura Loomer will be right by his side. Steve Bannon will be by his side. Michael Flynn will be by his side. A given. Tucker Carlson, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard. Brian, this pains me to say it, my brother, because this was my former party. This now is the Republican Party for good. Wow. This election made clear this is the Republican Party now for good.
All right. So before I let you go, Joe, I started off the show today and I had some criticisms for Democrats. I thought you tell me whether you agree or not with these. I thought Tim Walz is a good guy, nice man, thought it was the wrong pick. Didn't think he had a good debate. I thought Josh Shapiro would have been a better choice. Number two, I think they should have had a primary. And I know I'm Monday morning quarterbacking here, but I thought that you give Kamala Harris only a couple months, putting her behind the eight ball. I thought she did as good a job as she could have done under very difficult circumstances. And I'm not putting blame on Joe Biden either, by the way. All I'm saying is the decision should have been made earlier. And I think it put Democrats in a difficult spot.
All right, Shapiro. I'm stopping you right there, you
Go
son
ahead.
of a gun. I'm stopping you because you and I are going to have a friendly tussle.
Okay.
I don't blame Kamala Harris at all for this loss. I wish she had come out on day one and gone in front of and held news conferences and town halls from day one, but she ran a great campaign. I blame Joe Biden for 95% of this.
Really?
Completely. And I'll give you two reasons, Bri. Two. 4 years ago, Biden gets elected. We're coming out of a once-in-a-lifetime health crisis, a pandemic. Joe Biden needed to sit the American people down right then and say, hey, folks, here's what the next 4 years are going to look like economically. It's going to be bumpy, supply chains, all the rest, but we're going to work our way through it. And then every quarter, Joe Biden should have held an economic fireside chat with the American people. The American people, Bri, never understood economically what was going on. And by the way, you know this, economically, we recovered better from COVID than every other industrialized nation. But Joe Biden could never communicate that. Second point, right after the midterms, Joe Biden should have said, you know what? I'm holding to my pledge. We kicked butt in these midterms. I'm going to be a one-termer. Let's open up my party to a normal, vibrant 2-year primary. Go. If Biden had done that, I think this would be a much different ballgame. He stayed in office too long. He let his ego get in the way of him. Hey, Bri, we all love Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right? We all love her, love her, love her. She stayed on the damn Supreme Court too long, and it cost Democrats. Joe Biden did the same damn thing.
Okay, so I agree with some of what you said.
Come at me, my
Well,
friend.
I agree with some of what you said, but here's the thing, right? 2 years ago, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. I don't think Joe Biden was the same guy 2 years ago as he was today.
Doesn't matter. I hear you, but
maybe,
it doesn't matter.
Okay, but Joe, maybe he probably wanted to run again back then. And, I believe his health might have deteriorated a little bit.
When he first got elected, remember when he was running, he said, I'm going to be the bridge. If he had stuck to that, don't you think people would look better upon him and it would have been better for the party?
Perhaps, but results matter, Joe. And you know this better than anybody because you've been making the case across the country. Look at where we're at right now. Inflation is under 3%. You look at manufacturing jobs and the unemployment numbers, and the president he has been. I guess what I'm saying is this.
He still could have run on that. He still could have run on all that.
Perhaps. But what I'm about to say might be harsh, but there are way too many Americans in this country that are very ill-informed. They watch their Newsmax. They watch their Fox News. They have no idea how our economy works. They don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the economy. Could Joe Biden have done a better job in maybe communicating a bunch of different things? I agree with you. Maybe not the best communicator. But
brother.
I can't put this all on Joe Biden. I can't put 95% of it on Joe Biden. You know what I put most of this on? I'm going to tell you, Joe, who I put most of this on. Ignorant Americans. Dumb people. I'm not saying everybody who voted for Donald Trump is stupid, but a lot of Donald Trump's base are ill-informed, uneducated white people that watch their Newsmax all day. They're brainwashed, and quite frankly, they're not very intelligent.
I hear that. I'm going to fight you respectfully. I'll fight you on that till the cows come home. Damn it, I'm going to fly out to Vegas, sit in your studio, and we're going to talk about that. Okay. Bri, America went 4 years without, in essence, a bully pulpit. It's the most important job a president has is communicating. And Joe Biden, God love him, he was unable to communicate. But I'll say the Democrats' bigger problem is this. Working class America had a decision to make. And working class America chose the demagogue who lied to them over the party that has looked down on them for years. Democrats have a problem with working class America.
Okay, but if that was the case, I'm not saying you're wrong, but from a policy standpoint, Donald Trump had the biggest tax breaks for the top 1%. If you're talking about raising minimum wage, you're talking about the unemployment numbers, you're talking about people that are suffering, that are living paycheck to paycheck, then wouldn't a simple response to that be, well, Democrats, Kamala Harris, probably better for me than Donald Trump, and lowering taxes? That's the part that's confusing to me when you say working class people.
Because front and center, the things that have pissed off working class people the last 8 to 10 years: immigration, our open borders, crime on the street, and the price of bread. Period. And Trump lied about all those things. They're eating our cats and our dogs. But damn it, the Democrats ignored immigration, our border, and crime on the street, and they couldn't communicate the economy.
I think if they put that border bill in place the first year they were in office, I think they could have made that case. I think it's a very valid argument you're making. And I know you're going to have a lot of discussions like these in the coming days on a lot of the networks, my friend. But
Brian, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
I love you, brother. You and I, what we need to do next time we do this, can we have some tequila and do this?
We need to do that in studio, my friend. You got to get out here to Vegas and be here for more than like 3 hours. But Joe, I love you as well. And I love your work and what you've done in trying to get Kamala Harris elected. Unfortunately, we both didn't get the result that we wanted. But here's what I say, Joe. This is what I said to start the show, and we'll leave it at this. We have to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire.
Amen.
All the things that he has said he's going to do. Let's see where the economy is in 2 years. And let's hold his feet to the fire. And then if we're in big trouble, we can speak to those who voted for Donald Trump and say, this is the guy that you wanted in office.
He's an un-American traitor. We have to fight him with everything we've got once he's sworn in. Game on. Game on.
Agree. Joe, always love you, my friend. Appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to talking to you soon. You have a good rest of your day. All right, Joe? Thank you.